Princess Illyra had been taught that monsters arrived roaring, wrapped in armor and hunger. But the human smuggler who walked into her booth at Port Vera carried something worse. Silence. The kind that made armed dock guards step aside without being asked. He wore a patched black coat, old boots, a blaster to warn for vanity, and the exhaustion of a man who had outlived too many reasons to care. Yet, when he sat across from her and removed his gloves, Illyra felt as though she had just invited a storm to share her table. His name on the station was Cale Stroud, the ghost ferryman. A smuggler said to move cargo through military blockades as easily as smoke through fingers. Illyra had come to him because her father was dead, her throne stolen, and Helian warships hung over Saravan Prime while the nobles who had sworn loyalty discovered new uses for cowardice. She placed a data crystal between them and said, "I need passage home." Cale did not bow. "Your Highness," he murmured, "if you wanted manners. You hired the wrong criminal." Then his gray eyes lifted to hers. "That route is suicide." "Good," she said. "Because I am done hiring men who value safety over duty." His face shifted, not quite respect. More like interest from something dangerous that had almost gone to sleep. 3 hours later, she stood on the bridge of the Marauder Saint, and the ship made no sense. It was ugly, scarred, built from mismatched plates, but every console was calibrated with military precision. Every crew member moved with the quiet discipline of veterans pretending to be drifters. The elderly navigator called Cale captain with too much respect, and when the first Helion patrol appeared, 6 corvettes and a destroyer spreading across the void to close the lane. No one panicked, because Cale did not. "Cut lights," he said. "Vent heat through ballast 3. Drift 7 degrees starboard." Now the move looked suicidal. Instead, the Marauder Saint slipped into the thermal shadow of a mining field and vanished under the enemy formation. The patrol passed above them blind, and Hope stopped feeling childish. Then the destroyer turned back. Too sharp, too precise, alarms flooded the bridge. And Cale only leaned forward, powered dorsal guns. He said, "We have guns," Illyra asked. "Princess," he answered, "this is not a smuggler ship." Hidden batteries unfolded from armored seams, decoys bloomed into false targets, and the Marauder Saint surged straight at the destroyer instead of away from it. Cale rolled the ship through enemy fire, cut thrust at the last impossible second, flipped hard beneath the destroyer's belly, and fired one spread that killed its engines without wasting a shot. The navigator breathed out one stunned sentence. That was a first Vanguard feint from the siege of Hadris. And Illyra turned to Cale with ice in her veins, because only one human commander had ever turned that maneuver into legend. The truth waited in his quarters, not in treasure or vice, but in a faded military patch. A service blade, and a name etched in old steel. Admiral Cassian Stroud, Terran Expeditionary Fleet, hero of the Burning Gate. Vanished 14 years earlier after holding a collapsing wormhole line long enough for Saravan refugees, including the royal family, to escape destruction. Illyra had grown up hearing his name in memorial rites. The human admiral who had saved her people and died so the stars could keep spinning. When Cale entered and saw the blade in her hand, he did not reach for it. So she whispered, "Cale Stroud is dead too." His laugh held no joy. Cale was easier to live with. Cassian died where heroes usually do, buried under lies that needed martyrs more than survivors. She stared at him. "You saved my family. I saved civilians," he said. "Your family happened to be among them. Then why disappear?" "Because your father thanked me while his ministers traded human border colonies for peace. Because polished cowards needed someone dead to pin medals on. Because men like me are useful in war and inconvenient afterward." Illyra wanted to defend her bloodline. But too much of his bitterness matched what she had watched rot inside her own court. So she asked the only honest thing left. "Why help me now?" Cassian looked past her to the stars. "Because you came alone. Because you sold your crown before you sold your people. Because when I told you the road home was suicide, you did not ask how to survive. You asked how soon we could leave." Then he faced her, and the room changed. The smuggler vanished. The admiral remained, scarred, furious, and alive. "Humanity is not feared because we are strongest," he said. "We are feared because when everyone else starts bargaining with evil, we take it personally." Sarvan Prime filled the forward glass soon after. Blue oceans and burning orbital stations wrapped in occupation fleets. Impossible odds, certain death, the kind of battlefield where legends were born or buried. The marauder saint awakened around them like a war beast, remembering its name. Hidden launch racks, armed engines deepened. Crew moved with ritual purpose, and Alira straightened beside Cassian Stroud. No longer a fugitive princess, not yet a queen, but something harder. "Tell me the truth," she said. "Can we break through that fleet?" Cassian fastened his coat and smiled, and it was not the smile of a smuggler chasing credits. It was the smile of a man the galaxy had once survived only by trusting Princess, he said. They spent 14 years teaching the stars to fear human criminals. They forgot what happens when they corner a human admiral. Then he gave the order, and the marauder saint lunged forward. Decoys scattering like shattered moons, guns blazing from hidden ports. Helion captains scrambled, formations broke. Commands overlapped in panic, because somewhere inside their archives, a dead name had just come back to life. Alira felt the deck shudder beneath her boots. Felt terror and hope fuse into something incandescent. And for the first time since her world had fallen, she believed the enemy had made a fatal mistake. They had mistaken humanity for merchants, scavengers, and smugglers. They had forgotten what humans became when loyalty was betrayed, when home was threatened. They had forgotten that the most dangerous thing in the galaxy was not a throne. Not a fleet, not even a war. It was a human who had already lost everything, and had just found one final reason to fight.